Hello everybody and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be checking out something, and pardon my pronunciations, they're not quite perfect, Cavern Klamrisk by developer Brain Control. It's a little physics-powered game. We're going to be guiding this character as he descends into a cavernous, mountainous pit, I guess, essentially, and we're going to do our best to avoid running into the walls, while also avoiding rather, dangerous obstacles such as rocks falling down on us, and also just try not to get too far ahead of ourselves and let our hubris become the better of us and have ourselves just flip right out of that little basket that we happen to be wandering down in. So why don't I press spacebar and let's give it a go, shall we? So here we go. We've got a number of bits of tracking going on here. We've got a depth, velocity, and of course damage, as well as an HP meter. And then of course there's the high scores on the left there to keep track of. So as you can see, all I'm using here, or well, you can't really see this, but I'm going to tell you, I'm using the arrow keys to wiggle back and forth, and there's a lot of give on this rope every time I move my character around. So got to be very cognizant of the things that are falling on my head and doing damage to me. Actually might have seen a little bit of a spot of blood maybe even come out of my character. And things are getting a little faster paced now. The basket's getting out of control, and the background seems to become a little bit wild and dangerous. And oh my god, now we've got fireballs raining down on our heads. Things are getting faster and faster. I don't know what our end goal is here, but this is not going to end well for us. This is already the best I've ever done at this game. I'm on fire! He's on fire! Oh, that's the end. Alright, that was actually a really good run. That was the furthest I've ever made it. We are now going to spiral down into the worst death that's been ever seen by another human being. This is, yeah, very sad way to go. I wonder if this keeps showing me as we get deeper into the pit, if there's like more levels and strata to be worried about. So it's a surprisingly simple but effective premise, I have to say. There's very little here to learn. It's, the easy to play, tough to master thing, which is kind of a hallmark of good design, in my opinion anyway. I think it makes for some really entertaining indie games. And this one is free, by the way, so if you'd like to go check out Cavern Klamrisk, you can feel free to do that. I'm wondering what this item is that's in the basket with him. It's like a bit of some kind of testing toolkit, or maybe it's his dumpster. Maybe he's gonna throw out little bits of rock in there. Maybe he's supposed to catch things in it. Who even knows? I just wish our man would be a little bit more attentive to his situation, how precarious it is. Maybe grab onto some of the ropes or like grab the edges instead of just act like a ragdoll all the time. Well, I guess it wouldn't make for quite as fun of a scenario for us, but he might live a little longer, which you might think is a priority for this character. That is, seriously, how are we supposed to make it through that? That was a very, very difficult thing. There's freaking spikes going in both directions. I'm going to assume, since this is seemingly procedurally generated or randomly generated, that there may be scenarios that are insurmountable, no matter how lucky you get. You might just find yourself in a position where you're just about to take a fall, and that's going to be the end of it. One tiny complaint that I have, and this is maybe just a minor one that only I really will notice, but the texture work on it, it's fine, but it's... Oh, wow, I've already fallen out. That was really bad. The texture work seems to tile very aggressively. I kind of wish that there was a little bit more space to the tiling on things. The only way that you don't tend to notice it is when there's a tremendous amount of pointiness going on the rocks to the left and right of us. Then it's a little bit more obfuscated, but for the most part, you're kind of watching these two planes go by on both sides. I have a feeling they probably just have like a terrain generator, and then they just turn it sideways, and then it's just got collision on it, so, one of those in both directions is a quick way to make a pretty surprisingly addictive indie game. Oh my god, I'm already on fire! Yeah, well, it's too bad they don't, like, put the camera behind the ragdoll guy and then just, like, follow him down for a little while as he falls down the endless cavern. It's, well, that would be entertaining, at least for a minute, but I still feel bad for the dude. It's also too bad there's not, like, some secrets maybe that you could find on your way down. I feel like I've played a few games like this, but they were mostly like little mini games that didn't have a whole lot going on in them. This one feels like the execution is such that if they were to add some, framing elements, some framework to it to extend the longevity, perhaps some, achievement system or some kind of like unlockable cosmetic stuff, or even some goofy stuff like, change your basket, make your character explode if you run into certain walls, things like that could make this game substantially a little bit more playable. Not that it's not playable now, it's just, you can always add and augment the experience as it already is. Trying to figure out... Oh god, I'm on fire. Trying to figure out what I feel about the music. it works, but I feel like it doesn't necessarily complement the game's tone very well. It seems surprisingly chipper for the horrible flaming agonist death that we just have experienced falling down this pit. I feel like maybe something a little bit more somber, because this could kind of go along with like a Super Mario level. It's very happy music. The title screen music also, I think, but that was also a little bit more suiting, perhaps, although I don't remember what it is now. But I remember thinking that I enjoyed it when I heard it. I'd also love to be clued into the logistics of how exactly one sets up this rope system this deep down into the ground. I guess it's could be a whole nother job. We'll, you know, switch back and forth between the dudes working the pulleys on the surface and see if we can maybe keep the feet of rope going steadily. It could be a sweet, like, asymmetrical multiplayer game where you have, you know, a crew of people trying to continuously feed the rope down and, like, deal with snags and multitasking. You know, something got... Oh my god, that wasn't fair at all. I started out already falling out of the basket. But yeah, you got some guys that are, like, worrying about, you know, the rope's got a snag in it. Everybody quick, hit left and right a bunch of times, undo the snag in the rope, or, like... You know, the machinery's got a wire frayed in it. Replace the wire real quick, and then all kinds of little mini games to keep the rope feeding down. And then this guy is also making sure he doesn't fall into the sides of things. I don't know. It sounds great on paper, but I think in the end it would be more trouble than it's worth, because we're gonna end up with like this ridiculously overwrought mini game from Mario Party, which, you know, probably not worth making an entire game out of such a concept, unless there was more to it than that. Maybe you reach certain plateaus and then you can go and explore for a minute and try and find some treasures and bring them back up. Who knows? You know, there's a lot of different little options like that. I also do appreciate that little attentiveness in having the basket seem to emit a small amount of light. You know, you might not notice it in certain moments, but in the areas where it's a little bit darker, it looks kind of cool. And that could be a whole element too, like you can only see so far ahead. I think that would add a lot to the atmosphere if we wanted to take this more seriously, which I'm glad that we don't. But, you know, if you wanted to go, instead of the turbo dismount or stair dismount or whatever route, we could go, you know, the serious cave spelunking simulator route, which is, you know, not really a good idea. Let's just say it is. It's probably not a good idea. But in the right execution, I imagine it could be possible that someone would get something out of that. So I think we're actually having a pretty good run again. Don't wiggle too hard, bro. It's over. New depth high score. Well, I'm happy we can end on a positive note. New high score of 648 meters. What is the damage high score? Is that as I fall, I'm also just, it's keeping track of how many fireballs have landed on my head or something like that? Anyway, that was Cavern Klamrisk. Pretty fun game, I have to say. It's free. You can go play it right now. It is downloadable. Link's going to be in the description if you want to try it yourself. Feel free to let me know what your high scores are, if you did particularly well, or if you find any new strata or anything particularly interesting or wonderful or weird, if you get much further than I got. I feel like probably it's just going to be this all the way down, right? Oh my god, look at that. How are you supposed to navigate that? It's impossible. Those freaking walls are right up against each other. I guess eventually you'll just run out of chances or something. But anyway, that's going to do it for another day, guys. Oh god, the whole generation system's going off the rails. I don't think I'm supposed to go this far down without hitting restart. It kind of killed the frame rate, too. Don't do that. Anyway, I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you so much for your support. If you enjoyed the episode, consider leaving a like. It helps me out a lot. And you can even consider subscribing if you want to see a new, weird, artistic, original, or unique indie game every single day in your YouTube video feed, because 700-something, 30, 40 episodes and running strong, and with your support, we will keep it going pretty much forever. But anyway, thank you again. I will catch you all tomorrow, and have a fantastic night. Later!